Hey, hello again. Today we're going to talk about negligent security. We're going to talk about a lawsuit and liability that is a virtual buffet, a smorgasbord, if you will, of criminality and non-compliance with state regulations that oversee the conduct of security services in the state of Ohio. So without further ado, let's get after it. Facts of the case. This event occurred in Franklin County, Ohio. In fact, it's Columbus, Ohio, to be exact. The official citation for this case is the estate of Gregory Coleman, Jr. versus I Love High, LLC, and I Love Vine, LLC, et al. The date of the incident that triggered this lawsuit occurred on September 5th, 2022. After 2 weeks in a coma, Mr. Coleman, the victim, died September 18th, 2022. The date of the verdict came down July 25th, 2025. So as you can see, the wheels of justice move rather slowly. Okay, so as we can see on this screen, the issues at hand included negligent hiring, negligent training, and negligent supervision, as well, of course, the use of excessive force in this case, resulting in the death of Mr. Coleman. It should go noted that Ohio has some of the most stringent regulations in the United States when it comes to the regulation and oversight of the security guard, security services industry. Ohio regulates private security under something called the PISGS, which stands for Private Investigator Security Guard Services. And the oversight of this is part of the duty of the Ohio Homeland Security Department. The official law can be found in Ohio Revised Code Chapter 4749 if you're interested. I'm not going to go into great depth on this, but if you're interested in looking it up, it's widely available for your review. Throughout the court proceedings, there was nothing to indicate that the so-called guards or their employer followed Ohio laws. Now, these two guards were employed by the Julep Bar there in Columbus, Ohio. And Mr. Coleman was walking home from his bartending job at a nearby business. And as he passed the Julep Bar, these two so-called guards attacked him in an unprovoked and violent manner. It was an extremely violent attack by all accounts. So, at this point, let's take a quick look at some contemporaneous news coverage involving this trial.
Elisa, thank you. Just in, we have learned that the family of the man who died after he was sucker punched outside the now closed Short North Bar Julep has won a $27 million wrongful death settlement against that bar. 37-year-old Gregory Coleman Jr. was punched, kicked, and hit by two men who were working as security outside of Julep during the Labor Day weekend back in 2022. The lawsuit claimed the guards were poorly trained, unsupervised, and hired without background checks. Both of those two men are now in prison. They're serving life sentences.
So before hiring these two guys as so-called security guards, the employer did not conduct background checks. And if they had, they would have realized that both had significant violent criminal histories. Nor did the employer provide any kind of training in such things as de-escalation techniques, use of force continuum, or safe ejection procedures. Likewise, the employer failed to properly supervise the guards' activities, failed to monitor guard behavior, and ignored instances of misconduct. So obviously this was a pretty huge award, financial award. And as I understand it, some of the things the jury thought about was the emotional and physical pain that the victim went through in those 2 weeks while he was in the hospital before he died. The nature of the violations were extremely violent, unprovoked, as we mentioned earlier. And it's hard to believe that someone in the bar industry, I don't care if he's running a family steakhouse or a local pub, a bar in a hotel, or even a strip club, if you're in that kind of business, you know about security and you know what the requirements are, at least the basics, the laws that guide that sort of activity. And it seems totally irresponsible to hire what can only be, I keep referring to them as so-called guards, but I think it's safe to say that they are probably just a couple of thugs, how they got onto the payroll and pass themselves off to get paid for this kind of brutality is beyond me. But this kind of thing happens more than you might suspect. If you're in the business long enough, you'll see instances where people who are unqualified, unlicensed, untrained pass themselves off as bodyguards or executive protection or security guards or night watchmen or whatever, and they don't pass the muster as far as the local state and county and regulations and that sort of thing. And one other thing I just want to mention to you, that at least in Ohio, the regulation covering contract guard services covers not only guards, but anybody who's even remotely likely to perform guarding duties. So, for example, a doorman or a host or even a valet, a bouncer. All these people have some kind of security responsibility. So theoretically, in some cases, they're going to have to be required to be licensed and regulated under the law. You can't play games, in other words, saying like, well, he wasn't really a guard. He was a doorman, or he was a valet. He wasn't really a security guard. You can't play those games, at least in Ohio. So there you have it. Be sure to subscribe, like, I hope, and we'll build up this program a little bit more. Until next time, I'll see you around campus.